Professionally, she is a technology management expert and currently associated with Smart Funny in the capacity of the CEO. With a huge round of applause, virtual round of applause, please help me welcome Toastmaster Anisha for the next session. Over to you, Toastmaster Anisha.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ankit. Hello and good evening, everyone. I know that we wanted to make this weekend that you're spending here with all of us as worthwhile as possible, and that's why this was designed to be a very interactive session. But Toastmaster International and God had very different plans for us this evening. Well, maybe a subtle hint that as Toastmaster, we shouldn't be troubling our fellow Toastmaster on a Saturday afternoon or evening. But whatever we make out of it, I will try my best that in the next 1 hour that we are together over this Zoom platform, you have at least something to take back with you. I'm sure you already have a ton that you have packed up in a bag from Toastmaster Moon, Distinguished Toastmaster Moon's session. So, sadly, you will have to stare at the PPT that I will be projecting on the screen instead of walking through me parallelly on the website of logging in. So I will be sharing my screen in a bit. But what will we do in the next couple of minutes would be that we will learn. You already learned with Toastmaster Moon, you already saw how do you actually choose a path, how do you get logged in, how do you start that journey. But how do you go to your first project? How do you give that first speech? What are the formalities that you need to do to take the credit on the Toastmaster International website? That is what we will run through. I'll run through one project, the icebreaker of how do you log in to how do you mark the completion. Just with a show of hands here, how many of you have already given one speech, at least one speech from any of the manuals, like any path? Great. I see the number going up. Perfect. It is still going up. Probably there is a lag even in the internet and the responses. But how many of you have filed a completion of the project that you have already done? A speech that you have given and you've gone back, and do you know that there is something called as filing your project? You've marked it as complete. How many of you know about it and have done it? Lesser hands going up. Perfect. So at least I know that most of the people here will benefit something out of this session. So fellow Toastmaster, it wouldn't be a totally worthless time of investment because I see a majority of you have not done the completion of it. So for you to get credit about every project that you have so passionately put so much hard work into, you have to go and mark it as complete on the Toastmaster International website. As Vice President Education, a lot of new members come back to me saying, we don't know how to do it. And somehow this base camp that we talk about, the Toastmaster International website, is this Pandora's box that no one wants to open, because trust me, even the experienced Toastmasters sometimes get confused about how to file their completion of the project. So today we will run through what is a base camp, how do you navigate, how do you actually complete your project on the base camp. Let me start sharing my screen for that. So you could not log in, but I'm sure most of you have at least tried to log in through the password and the email address that you have registered, that Toastmaster Moon was talking about initially in this session, about how do you find that email, how do you actually go get logged in. Interestingly, the Toastmaster International website looks a little different since the last couple of days. And once you log in, this is how, if you scroll a little bit down, this is how your screen will look. And if you see on your screen's left-hand side, there is something called as Go to Basecamp. Basecamp basically is a place from where you will be managing all your projects. As a member, every path that you buy, the detail of it, the projects that you're doing, the projects that you've already done, to track where you are in your progress of the path, that is the place where you need to be. So remember, for all those new members, that Basecamp is the place where you can track all the progress of everything that you're doing with your speeches in every path that you select. Once you click on that, you will see something at this screen where it will show you the club that you are in. You just need to go to, if you see, I'm a member of Everest Toastmaster Club. For me, it will show Everest Toastmaster Club. When I click on the Everest Toastmasters Club here, if you click here, then it will take you to the final page of where your paths are. Now, sometimes it's interesting how Toastmaster International website is experimenting a lot, and I think it really wants to provoke our thought process and sometimes give us multiple options of confusing us. So there is another way to land into your path as well, which is when you open it, when you log in, instead of going down into My Education here and into Basecamp, there is something called as Education Programs here. If you click that, then you land on this page, which also takes you to the Basecamp. So there are two ways of doing it. Remember, here directly from the landing page after you log in, or as you see in every page that I have been showing, there is a education program. If you go into it, then it will take you to a Basecamp access page, and from there you will go from both these access. It will go here, and then you have to click on the Basecamp, which will show like this. For those of you who are also VPEs or secretary or president, it has a Basecamp manager as well. Please do not concentrate on that. Let's concentrate only on the Basecamp manager right now. And then it will take you to this page. This is your Basecamp manager page, where all your learnings, whatever you're doing, whatever is suggested to you, everything will come on this. So if you see, there are paths and learning. The paths and learning are basically whatever you have selected, the one that you got free along with your membership. That what Toastmaster Moon was saying, that your $20 actually gives you one path as an access for free. That is what you get. And once you're already progressing it, you can also buy multiple paths. So you will have different paths that you will be following. All that will be in your path and learning. And in Toastmaster, there are other things that you can learn supplementary as well, not just the paths that you buy. There are like for club coaching, as you progress, there are like leadership, there are many manuals that you can access. Most of them are for free. That will also come in once you go into your path and learning. So once you click into your path and learning, so once you go into your path and learning, it will take you to all the paths that you have selected, but there is a second way as well. If you had seen on my screen, my laptop is just lagging a bit. Give me a minute. That at the bottom of the screen, you can already see path and learning. That is, if you see here, you can see dynamic leadership, innovative planning. These are the two paths that I am working right now on. So that you can directly access your path from there as well by clicking on Open Curriculum. Once you open curriculum, which if you even click on the pathways and learning, it will take you to a list of paths that you have, which will be your dynamic leadership or innovative planning or presentation mastery, whatever you're doing. You just have to click Open Curriculum, and both of it will land you on the actual page of your path. If you see here, as Toastmaster Moon gave you detail about the 5 levels that are there in each path and what are the different projects, you can access them from here as well. You can see the details of your various levels and the projects that come along with it. Here, I have clicked on level 1, so you can see the details of the level 1 project. Now, don't get confused with what you see on my screen, because those of us who accessed the path before October 27th of 2021, our path the level 1 of any path looks slightly different than how it looks for the new members. As Toastmaster Moon showed you, it has speaking with a purpose, integrating body language, and then evaluation and feedback. This is an old setup that I have access to. That's why it looks very different. But icebreaker is the common speech that we all start our journey at Toastmaster and pathways with. I see a raise of hand.
Toastmaster Anisha, there is a request of zooming your screen. I think it is not visible.
Okay, let me try this. Just a second. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Give me a minute. Let me figure this out. Somehow this is not zooming.
We can continue with the presentation.
Yeah. Let me see. Like, this is a full screen, but it should.
If you're using presentation view,
yeah,
on the bottom of the presentation view, you will see the zoom. Presentation view. First of all, you have to do the presentation, start the presentation, and on your presentation view at the bottom, you will see the zoom. But you have to present with presentation view. Presenter view. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I am trying. Let me see. Sadly, something is happening and it is not zooming in, even in the presenter's view.
I think we can continue, Toastmaster Anisha, if that is the case.
Is it very difficult for people to see what is on my screen?
Not that difficult. Not that difficult. The font sizes were a little
smaller?
Yeah, smaller on the smaller side, but I think it should be visible.
Okay. Sure. So I think we were here. So as I was saying that we'll go through one speech. Let's take icebreaker for most of you on how do we actually approach. And sometimes what happens is, as a lot of you were saying, and showed me with a raise of hand, that you have given a speech, but you have not marked it complete on the Basecamp. So this is what happens with a lot of us, because we know, because of the knowledge that we get from our fellow Toastmaster at the club, or the VP education, or the mentor, that our first speech is about ourselves. It is about introducing us to the club. So we know what to speak. We know that it has to be done in 4 to 6 minutes. If we have a mentor, the mentor would have guided us very well on it. But most of the time we do it without even getting logged into the Basecamp and without even accessing what you see on your screens right now. Where you miss out with this is Toastmaster International over so many years has done so much research, and there's actually very credible and helpful resources for each speech that we take on. So if you haven't done it, probably you're missing out on that. If you've already given your icebreaker, make sure that from the next speech, you do log in and read through your project before you start preparing for it. How do you do that is what we will see in the next couple of minutes. So in your icebreaker, this is how your new path will look like for most of you. For those of you who have accessed it before, would look like how the screen was showing earlier. Once you are on the icebreaker, you need to click on activate and launch. Once you launch your icebreaker speech, this is the first screen that comes on it. This is how you will navigate through all your speeches. Like there are a forward and a backward buttons. There are a few things that pop up in between where you need to, if you see there are back and next, that happens. Because if you directly go on to the advance to the next page cursor, it will skip the entire thing that they have on the screen with the back and the next option. So you need to be mindful of what is there on the screen. When you move forward with your icebreaker, you will get to the introduction, and then it will give you an elaborate detail of why was that project even devised for you. Sometimes you must be wondering, why are we even starting with an icebreaker? Once you start reading the details in these projects, you'll realize how it makes sense. With every project, there's so much thought process that has gone into that. Why is it the first speech icebreaker? Why is the second one speaking with a purpose? You will, once you start reading into the details of the project, you'll understand the whole concept of why it has gone, what the project is trying to teach you. Otherwise, we'll just feel that, okay, maybe we need to, as Toastmaster Moon was saying, that speaking with a purpose, because some of the times we can just come and, speak at length without having a very concrete agenda to the speech. But the second speech teaches us how to speak within 5 to 7 minutes with a concrete agenda on our mind, right? So what happens is when you read through these things, then you will realize how to actually integrate your thought process, how to move forward with your speeches. And these will help you streamline your thought process and build your project. If you don't, then most of the times we're very confused about how do we start writing our speech? What should we even write about? There is no topic given. So how do we even choose from the vague and vast ideas that is going on in our brains, right? So once you start reading these things, it will help you out. Now, I have skipped a couple of slides here because we were hoping that I will have access to the main login, the live login that we have. But between the introduction and between your assignment, there are a couple of slides, there are a couple of pages where it will teach you about what the purpose of the project is, how you can prepare, and what do you do about it. And from there, it will also ask you to assess your skill. And this assessment is based very peculiar to the project that you're doing. So if your icebreaker, it'll have like a set of 5 to 6 questions that are just about assessing your basic skills. When you move forward in the paths, the questions that are there and the skills they're asking you to rate for yourself are very specific to that project, so that it makes you think about how you are. Suppose speaking with a purpose, can you streamline your thought process? Can you think of a topic? Can you speak at length about it? So it's about a lot of things. It will help you understand and analyze your skill set so that after the project, you know where you have improved. And once you answer these questions, it'll give you a tally of what you have rated yourself in various questions. Post that, there are usually, not always, but usually a video attached with every project that is there. Do not skip it because sometimes we get lazy. These videos are very useful. If you go on the screen and play it at the live one, you will get to understand a lot of the things that the project is trying to tell you. Sometimes we read, but we do not capture the essence of all the project. Listening someone else talk in front of you, that is why we are having this training, right? All of you have the access to this on your laptop. You have the access to Toastmaster International website. There are tutorials all over it. All of us can go and spend some time and click on those tutorials and learn everything that Toastmaster Moon and I are talking about today. But we are all human. It's our human nature that it is easier when someone else runs down those things with us. So remember that, and that's why these videos are very helpful. do not skip it when you're going through a project, and they help you understand the essence of the project and how do you actually go about it. When you start your first project, when you go to the next page, you'll see there is an outline worksheet and which you can download. Now, because this is your first project, they give you a worksheet that you can actually utilize to start framing your project, you're framing your speech. This does not happen all the time. Not all projects have these kind of sheets, but there are other projects apart from Icebreaker where you will have these kind of sheets which you will have to fill. And at many times, many of those projects even require you to submit those sheets to your VP Education for you to actually complete the level. So do remember that these sheets that are there in Icebreaker, or going forward in some of the projects, you'll have to fulfill it and give it to your VP Education in most of the cases. How does that sheet look like? If you open that sheet, it'll look like something that you see. Because Icebreaker is about yourself, and if you are confused about in 4 to 6 minutes, how do you even introduce yourself? There's so much to talk, right? So how do you streamline it? If you see here, you can see that list 2 to 4 things about yourself that you would like your club members to know, your reasons behind joining Toastmaster, maybe you can talk about that. So this helps you build an outline to the 4 to 6 minute speech that you will be delivering at the end of the project. Then once you have done everything, once you have written your speech, it also tells you how do you prepare post that. Once you have your projects ready, what do you need to do? Like in Icebreaker, it'll tell you that how do you rehearse, because it's your first speech. You're always scared. You want to, control the anxiety that is in your stomach. So what do you do about it? So it gives you small tips with every project about how do you actually manage and work with it. So here, like it says, rehearse with your friends and families. And there are many things that it will actually tell you about how do you relax, breathe, enjoy, how do you overcome your anxiety. This is just for Icebreaker, but it is not about overcoming your anxiety in all projects, but it actually tells you how to prepare better for your speech with every project, with various variety of suggestions that are available. Now, if you see on my screen, there is something below called as select to move to another section. If you see, I have been clicking next in the actual live window, and that is how it will take. But sometimes you want to go back. Suppose you by mistake clicked next and now you don't know how to go back to getting that worksheet that we were just showing. So the navigation below that you see, that will give you access to the various sections that are there in that project, like your introduction, your various things. So if you click on it, it gives you all the sections of that project. So you can always go back or forward with it. Here, if you see, if you thought that after reading, oh, I marked my assessment, the 6 questions that we saw, I should have marked something else, you can always go back to it as well from here. The video you want to listen to one more time, you can click on the video navigation and go back and do it again. So this is how you can navigate back and forward, even if you missed out at some point. What you have to also remember, and this happens with a lot of new members, is that many a times we've prepared, we've done everything, we've gone. Someone who's the Toastmaster of the day, evening, morning, or your VP Education has assigned you evaluator. So you go prepared for it, for the evaluator to assess your speech, right? But it's also a very good practice if you are doing this in person, to take a physical copy of the evaluation sheet. If your club is over online platform and you're doing it through Zoom, it is good to maybe send across a copy of your evaluation sheet to your evaluator. Now, how do you get that evaluation sheet? If you see, easiest and the quickest way to get it is to going to the same navigation, select to move in any other section part, go to your evaluation, and once you click that, you can see that on the right hand side, you'll see your evaluation resource, you'll see print my project, and the worksheet. So from here, if you click on these things, you can download various things in one go. Your evaluation resource will be the sheet that your evaluator will mark you on. Print My Project, you can actually download the entire project in a PDF version, so that if you want to keep it for later, though you can always access it online till you have a login, till you are a member with Toastmaster International, but you can always save it for later reference, even on your laptops and wherever you want to save. How does an evaluation form look? For those of you who haven't seen it, it is usually a 3-page document, because those who are starting your journey, you'll also start evaluating by the end of level 1. So this is how it looks. It states the purpose of the project. It has what you've excelled at, what you can improve, and where you can challenge yourself. At the end of the evaluation sheet, there are also, it gives you details of how you're supposed to mark and how can you get guidelines towards evaluating any project. Now you have come where you've prepared your speech, given your speech, and now you're done with it. I think a lot of us here were saying that you have given a speech, but you haven't gone back and marked the completion. So now we'll go on to where and how do we mark the completion. Are we okay till now? Do we have any questions? Because I see 2 chat. I can't really open the chat, but if the hosts would let me know if they have any questions, if you're okay
No
till
questions.
now.
No questions yet, Toastmaster Anisha.
Is the pace okay? Do you think that I'm going too fast with the PPT since we're not doing live together? Is this okay?
Yeah, I think we are on the right track.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ankit. I know you're a very experienced Toastmaster. You'll grasp it even if I was speaking at a lightning speed. With a thumbs up or some reaction, if the rest of you here attending would show that you guys are catching up at the same speed that Toastmaster Ankit is catching up, and I am not going super fast. Toastmaster Ankit, if you could help me tell if people are reacting to this?
Yes, they are.
Okay, great. So let's go on to now, what do we do once you have gone and delivered your speech? How do you actually get credit for all that work that you put in? So as a member, what do you do after you have done your project is you need to go back, follow the same procedure of going to the base camp, going to your path and learning, opening the curriculum, going to the path, going to your level 1, and opening your icebreaker project. Remember, we clicked on launch. So you go back there. From there, you will go back to the window, the beautiful window that we've been seeing for the last couple of slides. There, you had assessed your skill previously. You marked yourself on how good you thought were on the various questions that Toastmaster was asking you about. Now that you've read through the project, now that you've prepared a speech and delivered it, it is time to see what did you learn out of this project. We are all here to learn, right? As at Toastmaster, we've become members so that we hone our communication skills or our leadership skills. Through these projects, we're doing both indirect and indirect ways. So now you need to analyze that what did you learn from this particular project. On a very big scale, on a larger perspective, you're here to achieve a lot of things. Probably, by a year's time, you want to get up and give a public speaking to 200 people, but it's baby steps still there. So with every project, we try and analyze what we have learned and how we have improved. That's why it is very important as a reflection. Sometimes when you're thinking, it is very easy to say, oh, from this project I have learned. But when you actually start putting it down on paper, it gives more perspective. That's why it really helps me, and I highly encourage that you should go back and take the post-completion assessment skill as well, which is there in the navigation window. So remember, we talked about the navigation. If you click on that, you will go to your assess your skills afterwards. When you click that, the same set of questions will appear on your screen. This time, you would want to rate yourself based on how you feel at that moment after you've delivered your speech. Once you do that, then after you answer the final question, the pop-up will show you how you are comparing to the before and the after. If you see here, if you see this was my icebreaker, and my improvement in the last 2 points were massive before and after. That is when I realized that this is what I gained after this project. A lot of us have very different things we come to learn about. Maybe for you, the first question would go from 3 to 5, that I'm confident and calm when speaking. I couldn't. I still am working towards it. So that is something I knew I'll have to work more at. The second point, even in an icebreaker, was I understand the basic structure. Sometimes you understand the basic structure, but with your first speech, you cannot nail it. That's why I thought I have a long way to go there as well. I probably need to give another 4 speeches before I go from 3 to 5 or even more. I still sometimes falter at it. But if you look at the rest 2 aspects, that was a massive improvement for me. So I knew that from my first speech, I learned those 2 things more. Whereas the first 2 things, I still have to work towards. So that is where I will be concentrating on, and I will be keeping an eye open about whether I am rating myself better in the coming projects or not. So this is basically a reflection of what you're learning right in front of your eyes. This is why it helps. Sometimes you might feel that it's just a procedural thing that you're going next so that you get marked as completed. Maybe you'll win some awards, a certificate will come to you, but it is also about learning, and this is how you can track your own progress. So this really helps. And once you've done that, congratulations, you have completed your icebreaker. And if you do the same process in no time, as Toastmaster Moon was saying, that sometimes you need to pace your progress so that you achieve the best and learn the most out of it. But once you start doing that and once you start filing it, you would have completed your every project. And with every project and couple of projects, you would complete your level as well. So for member, once you've done, that is it. Nothing is required. Sometimes it does, Toastmaster International does ask you for a feedback. A separate window will pop in. It is not a part of your completion, but you just have to give your feedback about the project, and that gives you a completion. As I was saying, that once you've completed your icebreaker, then the next 3 projects that are there in your level 1, then you'll have to complete your level. I remember that someone was talking about, whether you can run parallel paths, is it okay? But you can run parallel paths, but for your progress, you have to go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, at least in one single path. So you have to complete one before you jump into the second. And for you to get credit, for your clubs to get credit, you have to complete and mark it as complete on the base camp at the end of every level. So once you've completed all the projects, this is the older one, but it is the same for the new one as well. If you see at the end, you see level 1 completion, you need to activate that as well. This is how the new ones look. And once you check here, once you click it, it will come as mark as complete, and then you'll have to click on mark as complete. Only then will your level be completed and your Vice President Education will get a notification that a member has completed and marked it. The approval still needs to come from the Vice President Education in most cases. In the absence of Vice President Education, then it can be either the President or the Secretary of the club. They have different access to approve it, but you have to mark complete here before going there. it does not come as a pop-up to your Vice President Education, so do notify. Usually as Vice President Education, what I do is I keep checking. We do track the progress of every member, and I keep checking every second day if anyone has filed a new project. But once you as a member do it, do notify your Vice President Education that you filed for a completion and kindly approve. Once they approve it, you'll get the approval through your email as well. Now, for the Vice President Education or the President or the Secretary, how do they mark it? I'll not go into the details of that today because we are concentrating on how to getting the members logged in, and I see that I have almost half an hour of my session going on. So for VP Education, they have to mark it completed in two positions. One is Base Camp itself, and the other is Club Central. Once they do that, you'll get the email that I was talking about. In the new window, if you are a Vice President Education, initially, remember I had shown you Base Camp. If you scroll down, you will also see an option to log in as a Base Camp manager. And once you go there, then the VP Education or the President or Secretary can approve your completion that you have filed for.